Hello there everyone, and welcome to another edition of Lydia's Crafty Corner with me, Lydia, in my little crafty corner. So today we are going to be creating this beautiful slimline card using some beautiful sunrise colours, or it could be a sunset depending on how you feel at the time. We also have a splatter of stars there which works with the sentiment. So to start with, I'm going to create my slimline card. So I have a piece of cardstock which is 7.5 by 7.5. And I'm going to score that along the 3 3/4 inch line, and that's going to give me a 3 3/4 by 7.5 card base. And then I have a panel which is 1/4 of an inch smaller, so it's going to give me a beautiful little border around the edge. I'm then going to go ahead and start my ink blending. So I do have a piece of scrap paper underneath me just to keep my area clean. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with some Peach Perfect ink. And then once I have that on, probably around about 1/4 way up the little panel that we have, I'm then going to move on to some pink pill. So this is a beautiful light coral colour, and I'm going back and forth into those ink colours just to make sure that that blending between the two colours is absolutely perfect. So once I've done that, I'm then going to move into the Cotton Candy, a beautiful pink colour again. I'm going to go in with the Cotton Candy and then go over with the Coral Bliss, so these two blend really, really good and perfect. So once I'm happy with that, I can then move on to a darker shade, and this one I'm going to go on to a purple, and this is the Deep Iris. So I forgot to say that I am using the mini ink blending tools from Altenew because this gives me a smaller area that I can add my ink colours down to. So as before, I'm going to pop my darkest colour down, and then I'm going to blend it together with the one below it using the lightest colour, so that would be the Cotton Candy there. I'm then going to move on to the really dark navy at the top. Now I did decide to mix two different navies together, so I have the Dark Night and Dark Sky to get that really beautiful bold navy that we have at the top there. So once that's all done, I'm then going to add my little stars on, and I'm going to be using the Pure White ink spray. So I'm just going to remove the nozzle, and I'm going to use the straw that's kind of in it to add some splatter onto my little panel that we have here. So as well as the pure white, I did want to add some stars that kind of looked like they were further back. So I'm then going to take the Iridescent spray, and I am going to use that in exactly the same way. So I'm just going to take the top out of the bottle after giving it a good old shake, because you do want to move the mic around in it. And then I'm just going to use the nozzle to add some more little stars into my background. Once I've added all my stars, I am going to let that dry. I'm then going to move on to the mountain die set because I kind of wanted a little bit of scenery at the bottom. And I'm going to cut this out of some navy cardstock. So I just had a scrap piece of navy cardstock. So I'm just playing around with how these are going to fit when I cut them out. I am adding a little bit of tape to them. The reason being, if I add the tape, that means that they're not going to move around when I do run this through my die cutting machine. So I'm just adding that tape on just to keep them in place. And as you can see, I'm just kind of fitting them onto that piece that I had there, but it works out perfectly in the end. So once I've run that through my die cutting machine, I can then remove the tape and the dies, and then I have 3 separate pieces. So I have the 2 with the trees, and I just chose one of the mountain pieces for this, so I had 3 different layers. I'm then going to add my nicely dried panel onto my card base, and I'm just using my ever trusty Altenew tape pen for this. So I'm just going to pop it onto the card base and then pop my panel into place, making sure that I have an equal border of that white all the way around. When I placed these little scenes together, I wanted a little bit more of a little bit of pop between them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some white pigment ink and a foam dauber or a ink blending tool, and I'm just going to add the white pigment ink, just to the tops of these die cut. It's going to act like maybe a little bit of a moonbeam going across the edges of the little scenes that we have there. So I'm going to add a sentiment, and for this one I'm going to be using one of the sentiments from the Wanderlust Stamp Set. So I've just added a little bit of anti-static powder onto my bottom layer of little scenery that we have going on, and I'm then going to add this stamp down with some embossing ink and then some embossing powder. So I used the anti-static powder to stop the ink, or the embossing powder, sorry, from sticking where I don't want it. So I'm just going to use my embossing ink, which is very sticky, and then it's going to grab on to that embossing powder. I'm going to be using the pure white embossing powder from Altenew. This is my favorite go-to white embossing powder. So I'm just going to pop that on, tap it off, and then heat set it, so it's going to be perfect then. So once I've done that, I can then add my scene into place. So for the first layer that we have going on here, I am going to add a little bit of foam tape behind this piece here. Once that is in place and I'm happy with how it's looking, I can then add my other 2 layers. And I'm just going to pop my other 2 layers down with some glue tape. You can add foam if you wanted to, but I wanted to keep the first one quite close, so a little bit of dimension there, and then the other ones further back. So that's why I'm just going to stick them on with glue tape, but if you wanted to, you could definitely use a bit of foam as well. So once they are nicely in place, I can turn my card over and trim off any overhanging bits from behind. I do find that trimming the background, or the bits that are overhanging off from behind, is going to give you a cleaner look, because you can see exactly where you need to cut. So here is the card complete. I really do hope that you like the card and that you've enjoyed the video as well. If you do create a card inspired by this, it'd be great if you do share, because we'd love to see. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, crafty friend, Lydia here. Just popping in to say that you can get your daily dose of crafting tips, techniques, and tutorials just like this by subscribing to the Altenew YouTube channel. All you need to do is click on that little bell up there and you will never miss a video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.